Hold on, I think I'm good here. Oh, there we
Bam.
go.
Set. We can see you perfect, man.
Awesome, awesome.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on. For those of you guys who don't know, this is Scraft Blends. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, my friend?
All right, my name is Shannon Craft. I am part of the Tomb Squad, Tomb 45 Barbers. Also, I cut hair in Tampa, Florida, at Headlines Barbershop.
Right on, man. And I know you can't see this right now, but I just took a screenshot of your YouTube channel, and it's
All
Scraft
right.
Blends here. So just so you guys know, once this episode is over, once you guys are free, why don't you guys just go over and subscribe to this man? Because I was telling him on a phone
Yeah,
call right before we went live. We just did a little test, and I was telling him that I've actually learned a lot watching you, and I look up to your work, man. And I really think that you are a good contributor to this business for people who are new, but also for people who are not new. And it gets harder to learn as you get longer in this business. Like you feel like I shouldn't have to ask for that. I shouldn't wonder about that anymore. Like I should have this mastered. And the reality is like nobody can hold it all forever. I mean, except the Beatles. They made songs forever that were good. But most artists, at some point, they do need to reach out and they do need to keep their minds open so that we can all continue to grow and get better.
absolutely, absolutely. I want to start out first by saying, thank you for the invite. I just think that what you're doing is amazing. I'm kind of upset that this is the first time that I even knew that you were doing this, man. You know what happened? I actually had a different YouTube channel. I mean, that I'll just surf with and stuff. And here recently, I put out S-Craft Blends YouTube channel, and I guess I'm subscribed to you on the other one. So then, whenever I just was pulling it up on S-Craft Blends, I realized I wasn't subscribed, and I'm like, oh crap, So I subscribed, and that's why I'm missing all these lives. So, anyways, I just want to say I honor you, man. I appreciate what you do for the industry, and man, I'm excited to be on tonight. I know, like you said, we got to talk a little bit, and I actually came across your channel. I want to say almost a year ago. When was it that you dropped like the very first video on the 50 cows?
Oh yeah, that probably was like a year ago. Yeah, that was
So that's when I actually started following you, and just actually stumbled across your page, and I was like, man, I like this guy. So I've learned things, and I actually bought some 50 cows, which I want to talk about in a little bit,
yeah, for
as far
sure.
as mods on that, because I watched your video. And anyway, so anyways, man, once again, man, it's just great being here with you guys.
Oh, it's cool, man. Yeah, I was a real big fan of those 50 cals, man. When I got that magnetic motor and all of a sudden I had 4 hours to just kind of like not plug it in, not put it on a stand, not nothing. And then I realized like 4 hours is actually a really long time when you work in the way that I work. Like, and that's why like I was using the gammas and I was getting like between 12 and like 17 cuts without any ever charging it. I actually was leaving the charger home because I bring it here to like do videos, and a lot of times like I'll have it and I friggin' forgot the charger, but it was never a problem. But one of the things that I do is I always debulk with a detachable, and I know you blend with detachables and stuff, and I know a lot of guys. I wanted to mention that a lot of you guys ask me to do videos about that. I don't do that, and I think it would be better if you go over to Shannon's channel and just check him out and watch his videos on that, because if you go that route, you can get it done pretty fast too. And there's nothing wrong with doing it one way or the other. It's just I've always just kind of preferred having the lever and just it's almost like walking. It's weird to describe.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
do you ever really think about what you're doing with your lever, or your thumb just sort of does it? Your eyes are like connected to your thumb.
It just yeah, it just flows, man. It just flows.
Yeah, you don't really have to.
So for me, whenever it came down to like, so I've been cutting hair for right at 28 years. Man, I didn't know anything about YouTube, didn't know anything about Instagram, wasn't even focused on it. It wasn't until I moved to Tampa and uh, basically joined Chris Bassio's team at Headlines Barbershop. Never heard of Chris Basio. Didn't know anything about Tomb 45 or what they were doing. And I was just cutting hair. I got hired there, and I was only there for about a week. And then
Wait, so you didn't
because
know
I've
about the
owned,
channel? You didn't know
I
about
didn't know
his
anything
YouTube
about.
channel or anything before you started working there? Like, you
Yeah,
literally found out about it
nothing.
as you were working there.
So yeah, so I learned everything I know for the most part up until recently was all self-taught, and just watching people in the barbershop, things like that. But I started cutting when I was 13 years old, and really because I was artistic. I heard you talking about a guy in barber school. I was kind of that guy in barber school. I just, um, fortunately, I guess just being really artistic, I just kind of knew what a gradient should look like, and whether you draw with a pencil or you draw with the clippers or whatever, you can figure it out. So I just knew that there was a certain look that a fade should look like in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
and I just began to try different techniques in order to get that blend that I was looking for. So I never even knew about YouTube in the sense that people were actually doing teachings about barbering on there. So I guess I never had the need. I felt like to just search YouTube
Yeah.
barber tutorials simply because I was honestly, and I don't say this to kind of be boastful or anything. I was better in my opinion than everybody I was around. And I grew up in a very small town.
Mm-hmm.
So in the town that I grew up in, everyone was just doing high and tight fades, flat tops, real, country style cuts,
Mm-hmm.
and so for me, I started doing low fades and designs, and I would talk to people that were from New York and stuff, and they were talking about. I remember 20 years ago, somebody came from New York and said, "Hey, do you know how to do a double edge?" And I was like, "What is that?" And they said, "Basically, you do your edge, which back then, even we were doing the, to the point
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, and that just became popular. And they said, you just create another line right behind it."
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I said it don't sound too hard, so I did it, and he's like, "Yeah, that's it, man. That's it." So I did the double edge all the way around his head, all the way. I mean, the front, everything. Well,
Mm-hmm.
then a little bit later, because I'm artistic, I said, "Hey, what if we took that double edge and kind of did some crazy designs in there, just made it all flow together?"
Man, you're bringing me
And
back.
yeah, he was like, "Oh, that would be awesome." And literally, I cut this dude's hair probably once a week, man. I mean, we barely could get the designs to grow out before we were starting another one.
Oh, that's cool.
And anyway, so that's kind of how I learned how to do designs and stuff. So there again, I was always so ahead of my time in my circle that I didn't realize other people were doing what I was doing, or I didn't know it was out there.
Right.
So I never even thought to look on YouTube for anything. So then whenever I came to Tampa and was cutting in the shop there, and I started hearing about this whole YouTube barber tutorial, and like I said, met Chris Basio, which he works on one side of me. Matt Gifted Hands works on the other side of me. Um, anyways, they're always recording videos,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, what is all this about, And anyways, that's how I kind of got introduced to the whole thing. So I was like,
That's
oh man,
cool,
so
man.
there's a whole bunch of people out here doing YouTube barber stuff. So that's why when I started looking up barbers and clippers and just come across different channels, man, and like I said, came across your channel, and now it's funny because I always want to grow, so I'm
Yeah.
always looking for new barbers on YouTube that I can kind of find something, and I'll see them do something. And even though I've been cutting for so long, I'll see them do something. I'm like, "Ooh, I never thought about doing it like that." And
Right. Right.
I'll steal it. I'll make it my own.
And we do that all the time. It's like what I was talking about when I first started. Like, since the dawn of time, man has been trying to improve our existence through advancing our way of doing things, and we're just always
Absolutely.
messing with things. They're loving you, by the way. I know you can't see these comments. I keep dropping them on the screen, but one person is asking, uh, how do I get better at doing designs? Another person wrote, S-Craft has great content. A lot of people say S-Craft is the GOAT. I got I got a bunch of people saying nice stuff about you, man. These people know
Well, that's awesome.
I've been subscribed to Scraft. I need to find you on IG. What's your IG, Scraft?
S period craft underscore blends with a Z.
I got you, man. I'm gonna write it up.
And yeah, I can't see any of the comments, guys, or any positive thing. I'm hoping they're all positive, but I can't see them. And anyways,
All right. So
I'll go back and watch it later.
All right. Hold on.
S
So S
period
period craft underscore blends with a Z.
blends.
All right. Bet.
Yes.
All right. I just put it on the screen, so they're able to see. This is his Instagram. So if you guys want to go over there and show him some love over there too, he's got it going on over there too. And there's something I wanted to say about like doing the designs too. Is like one thing that I think I've always had going for like myself was like I wasn't really afraid to fail. And I think part of that came with like my very first shop I ever worked at was Supercuts, right?
Yeah.
And it was like a total mess people up kind of place where you know, like I'm not saying I was going in there to intentionally mess people up, but I wasn't afraid, and it really didn't matter to make those mistakes because that's where you can make those mistakes. You don't want to do that when you know you've gotten further along, you're in a shop. You don't want to have that reputation as the dude who's messing people up. But I also understood I was new and I was forgiving to myself. Like I was okay with when things didn't go right in the beginning to just say, all right, man, let's just learn from it. You know, I'm not happy about it, but let's try to do a better job next time around. And then with designs, I am not artistic. Like I wasn't a person who draws or anything like that. Like it really just took trial and error for me to get to the point where I can comfortably do them. So if there's anybody out there who feels that way or who feels like the way I was, like I was not a person who could draw well, I was not a person who could do any of those type of things. I had to push myself out of my comfort zone repeatedly, and a lot of my designs did not make the IG. No, they did not.
Yeah.
Not everybody is in my top 10, but
Yeah.
you know, after some time of just being outgoing and not being afraid to make those mistakes, I found myself like, okay, as long as I'm making my lines clean, I'm making my you know, my lines kind of thin at first and maybe thickening them up, you know, as I go. When I need to move them over, I actually save myself room. Like I learned a lot of little tricks and stuff, and I would push any of you guys into that because it's really one of the funnest parts of this business for me now. Like I've gotten bored with the every day just doing the normal stuff where you're just like kind of following all the rules. You're not breaking any rules. You're just like, but when the designs is time, boys, like I shaved 2 women's head the other day, just the back, and it was a mother and a daughter, and it just went crazy in the back of their head. It was so much fun, you know. And
Actually, the video I dropped last night was actually a female undercut design, and basically usually she comes in and just lets me, you know, do whatever. And I share in the video that I love doing the freestyle designs because the reality is they don't know what's in your head, you know? So even if you mess up on the freestyle design, you can act like that's what you meant to do. You know, they don't know that. And when they bring pictures in, that's when it can be a little more challenging because obviously they can look now at a picture and say, hey, this either looks just like it or it doesn't look anything like it. And the reality is, even though I am artistic, I've been doing designs for many years, there's still those days when I look at a design that I've done and they don't make my Instagram. I mean, they'll be clean, and some people might look at them and say, man, that, you know, that's fire.
Hey, they could see your video, bro. I'm playing it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So ultimately, the lines are going to be clean, but maybe it just doesn't flow the way I want it to. And there again, some people may look at it and think it's amazing, where for me, I'm like, man, it wasn't what I wanted it to be. But I think we all have those days.
I feel like that every design for so long. Same way, bro. Like, I think it's natural for artists to like not really like what they do and always feel like it could be better. And then there's those rare moments where you're like, man, Absolutely. I killed that, and I feel real proud about it. And it's funny how that goes. Clients are usually really happy with what you do, even when it's not something you love. Like,
even you're breaking up a little bit, so I don't know if
it's probably slowing my internet down.
Even when even whenever it comes to fades, like I have people, some of the guys in my shop, man, they're so awesome and encouraging, but they'll stand over my shoulder and watch me fade, and they'll just be like, dude, you're different, like you're this and that, and just say really good things and the goat and all this stuff, which I appreciate. But a lot of times I'm thinking like, man, work, it's not what I want it to be. There's sometimes I'm like, ooh, that thing's blurry.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm always questioning, I'm always critiquing, and so, I see barbers, and it bothers me anytime a barber's like, I'm the man, I'm the GOAT, I'm the God, like, nah, dog, like, no, you ain't, and
No.
so I don't ever have that persona, I guess. I'm not that guy that walks around thinking that I'm the best at everything, and I'm the best barber in the world, and I would never even tag myself as the best barber in the world like I've seen some do. However, I mean, like I said, I still look at my stuff today, and people say, "Oh man, that fade is flawless," and I'm like, "No, I could have took that line out, this little spot," and
Mm-hmm.
it's always going to be like that. And I think that's why I've grown, because I'm always pushing my limits. I'm always trying to make it better.
Yeah.
And once you get the cut looking flawless in your opinion, then like taking pictures for Instagram, that's a whole nother monster, man. I'll take 100 pictures to get
To get
one
one that you
good
love.
looking picture,
I know. I do the
because
same
you're like,
thing.
man, it looks so beautiful to the natural eye, but as soon as I put it on video or a picture, it looks horrible. Like,
It's so
man,
true,
what is
man.
going
That
on?
camera don't lie, man. You know how many times I'll
Yeah,
like almost check a cut through my camera, and I'll put my camera down, fix the little spot, go back, check it again. Okay,
that's facts,
it's
bro.
it's better, but it ain't perfect. Put it down, and then I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, I can take this picture on this side. But a lot of
yeah.
a lot of people don't realize like the work that goes into these, and I don't know if you're the same, but I find myself like I don't know, like it's weird. It's like I still find myself growing. I still find myself kind of coming into my own in a way with blending or with just other things. Like it's weird. It's like I'm one of those people who is constantly trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm like, let's try it this way. Let's try it that way. What if I
Yeah.
did this in this order? What if I did this in that order? And eventually, I've settled on something that just doesn't um, it doesn't ever seem to really disappoint me, and I'm happy with
Yeah.
the technique I'm using. But how long would you say it took you to learn how to blend like that? Like when do you feel like you really were kind of coming into your own, when you were like, I feel like I kind of got this figured out? Like how long into your career did it take to you were like, I feel like I really got this figured out, or you know
I will say this, because of, I guess just having an artistic eye. Um, I mean, I hate to be that guy, really do, because, I hear so many people like, it's not just a gift, you got to develop it. And I believe that you do have to develop any gift that you have. However, when I first started, I was better than everybody around me, I mean, and there again, I was from a very small town. There wasn't a whole lot of people. So I always knew that I was good. And even now, I can look back at pictures from 20 years ago of my haircuts and designs, and I'm like, dang, I was pretty good,
that wasn't bad?
And
Yeah, right.
yeah, it's so weird. So for me, there's certain people I believe that just got it. And I mentioned to a young man that if I mentioned his name, everybody would know. We were hanging out one day, and he's young and he's a beast. And I said, bro, you got a gift. And he was like, no, man, I don't got a gift. I work hard for this. Da, 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 da. I'm like, you've been cutting for 1 year,
You
and you
got.
cut better than most people that I know. That's a gift, man. And I said, the thing is, like, I had a gift like that as well. I just didn't have the platform. I didn't know. I mean, we didn't have Facebook and Instagram when I started.
Yeah.
But
That's
I
me
feel like
too, man.
some
I didn't really
people,
have I really didn't have those resources to reach out to either, and going to the shows was really important back then. Um,
yeah,
Even though things have completely changed now, but like we were like the redheaded stepchild back then. When I would go to a show, like you'd go over to the barber section, it'd be like itty bitty, and it was like
Yeah, yeah,
Vidal
yeah,
Sassoon, and there was Rusk, and there was all these like crazy things going on stage. I remember like a funny one time. I was watching these dudes dancing at the Redken booth. They have all these dudes dancing, like, and they're dancing kind of funny, and I'm
yeah,
just kind of like sitting there with my jaw open, and this dude taps me on the shoulder. He's like, "Yo, are you part of this class?" And I'm like, "What class?" I didn't realize there was a class. He's like, "Yo, we're about to teach
yeah.
a color class right now, and if you want to be a part of it," I was like, "No," like literally, I was like, the whole rest of the show was gone, and there just wasn't anything for barbers really back at that
Yeah.
moment. Now I
And
go and
see
I'm
what's
like,
funny,
"Whoa."
like I didn't even know about hair shows either, man. I mean, like, dude, when I tell you, like, the town I grew up in, man, there was like 4,500 people. Like, that's the
Wow.
whole place. And so like, we just didn't have many options. I didn't know about really any of that stuff, you know. So, I'm 41 now, and it's just been here lately, you know, in the last few years that I've actually realized that all this stuff is available. And Basio asked me whenever I first met him, um, he's like, he's like, dude, you're a beast, man. And I was like, I appreciate that, you know. And he's like, how come I don't know you? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I've just been hidden in a hole somewhere, you know. So what's cool to me is
That's cool, man.
because of that, I know that there's so many amazing barbers out there that we don't even know.
That's the
They're
thing.
just in a
Marvy
shop.
Marv
They're just in
posted
a,
that the other day. He wrote like some of the dopest barbers I know don't even know about Instagram, and
it's a fact,
it's
man.
true. There's people who are like semi-famous in like every little town that everybody in that town's like, oh man, you got to go mess with him. You got to
Yeah,
go to him.
yeah,
Like he's the man around her, and
yeah.
we got a lot of people like that in our town too. It's like four of us who are really well known in the town, and like there's other good barbers, and I can't even say nothing bad about nobody here, you know. But I'm just saying
Yeah.
like a lot of towns get that reputation. We start putting down that work, and like that's the thing, guys. Too is like if you go the extra mile, you take that extra time, like you will be rewarded. Like maybe not on that haircut, maybe not by that client, maybe not monetarily, but you will be rewarded. And it's funny how this whole thing works. Like people understand how you're treating them. And you don't even really need to be the best barber, but it's really important that you make people feel good. I think that
Absolutely.
is a lesson I learned a long time ago. There was this guy I worked alongside of in a salon. It was in a Supercuts as well. And this dude was the nicest guy you could ever talk to. He was so nice, and he just did terrible haircuts. He was new, and these women would come back, get their haircuts fixed by somebody else, and then I would see him the following time in John's chair again. And they loved him. They loved the way he made them feel, and he did get better, and he eventually improved to the point where he had, a pretty good following. And I remember seeing that he didn't need to know everything. He just treated people with respect, and he was nice to them, and he catered to their needs, and he grew his clientele before he grew his skills.
Yeah.
You know.
I know working in many shops over the years, owning shops. One of the things that I've seen is some of the barbers that, you know, people may say, well, they're kind of subpar. They're the most booked barbers, you know, and I mean, I've literally, here I am striving to like give the blurriest fades in the world. And I'll watch somebody walk out the door, and I'm like, wow, they didn't see that big line on the side of their head. I mean, I don't say it out loud, obviously, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, whoa. And yet they come back every week or every other week or whatever. And
Yep.
I'm just blown away. And I've noticed, man, that it's a lot of it's about relationship. And, you know, right now, what's so cool is I've been so fortunate and blessed to just meet great people. And part of my, you know, if you see the intro to my channel, it says not just building better barbers, but building better people.
Right.
And ultimately, that's my desire. I want to build people,
I love that
and
intro, by
I
the
believe
way,
that
man.
comes. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So one of the things that I do is I'm constantly, you know, trying to encourage the barbers in our shop, whoever I come in contact with, people in the chair, and because of that, it has blessed me so much. Like literally, I get people that will shoot me, you know, $200 tips. One day,
That's crazy.
this guy came in, and first appointment of the day, he said, "Hey, man, I want to give you something." And he reached up and gave me a piece of paper. And I haven't held a check in my hand in so long, because who uses checks anymore, So I thought it was a note. So because if I knew it was a check, I probably would have stuck it in my pocket, went to the bathroom, and looked at it later. But I mean, I just opened it up. I thought it was a note, so I'm looking at it, and he wrote me a check for $1,500, man.
What?
And yeah, and he said, I just wanted to bless you. I love you as my
Wow.
barber and stuff. And I was like, oh, dog, you don't have to do that. And he's like, I know, I just wanted to. And the guys were like, man, you could go home today, man. You're done. You made your money for the day or whatever. And I'm like, shoot, I could leave with $2,000 instead of 15.
Good
So
for
I
you,
stayed
bro.
obviously and made money, but like all the time, man, I'm getting just
Crazy
crazy
stuff.
tips. The other day during the quarantine, I've had people hit me up and they were just like, man, I give you $100 for a haircut. And
Right.
honestly, I mean, I want to stay healthy. Number one, I want to protect my family, but I really $100 cuts are like
It is
all
what it
day,
is, baby. You got to go do
So
that.
well, no, what I'm saying is like, I mean, I'm blessed enough to see that at the shop.
Right,
So for
right.
me, it's like I don't want to even get up out of my house for $100, and I hate to say that, but it's just kind of I'm not doing it for the money or whatever. But I have, because of relationships and just developing those relationships, I have an older gentleman who, listen, wasn't going anywhere during the quarantine. He was at home. I don't even know why he needed a haircut, but he just a retired general from the military. He always tips me very well, and he hit me up and he said, "Hey Shannon, can you come cut my hair at my house?" And I was like, "Mr. Dave, man, I'm not cutting on the quarantine, and this and that." And he kept on. He's like, "Please, man, I need a haircut." And he said, "I'm an old man. My wife's an old woman. We don't leave the house. We wouldn't get you sick." And I'm a praying person, so I was just like, "Lord, is this something I should do?" And it was more because I loved him,
Mm-hmm.
because we built a relationship in the shop. He's just a good guy, So I felt kind of like, what should I do, because I didn't want to disappoint him. And he was like, "I promise I'll make it worth your while." So I was like, "Lord, should I go or not?" And I just felt like peace about it, like I should go. And anyways, I went, cut his hair, and my man gave me a thousand wrap of $50 bills, so
A thousand
dollars
bucks.
in the wrap to do his
Woo!
hair. And I didn't go over there for the $1,000. He didn't tell me what he was going to give me.
Right.
And honestly, if it would have been $100, like I said, I get calls all the time, come to the house for 100, 200, whatever. I don't want to leave my house for 100 or $200. I mean, I hate
I
to
hear you,
sound
dude.
like that, but I just hate doing house calls. And I did it because I love this guy, because we have a good relationship. And because of that relationship, he blessed me, So regardless if you're the best barber in the world or not, man, people will always remember. I've heard this said many times, but they may not remember your name. They may not remember the conversation that you had, but the one thing that they will remember is how you made them feel.
That's right.
And
That's
I'm
right.
telling you what, I want people to feel amazing when they're in my chair and whenever they get out. And that's one of, I don't know if you guys know Chris Perez. He's one of the owners of Tomb 45 and Headlines, uh, uh, partners with Bosio. And I cut his hair, and he's like, "Dude, when I'm in your chair, I not only get a good fade, and that's cool, but he's like, the reason I love getting my hair cut with you is because it's an experience." He's like, "I actually feel better when I leave your presence, when I leave this chair." And ultimately, at the end of the
That's
day, I
awesome.
love giving people good haircuts, but if I can just build people, if I can encourage them, if I can just help
Right.
in any way, man, to make their life better, not only does it bless them, but it blesses me, and I
Oh,
feel like
absolutely. Absolutely.
I believe in, sowing and reaping. So I just feel like, if I'm encouraging people, especially when they're down or when they're going through a difficult time, if I'm just building them up and encouraging them, then God's going to send people along to encourage me, you know, to when I'm going through it. And even I believe this connection right here tonight, you know, I believe that no one, I mean, my influence is growing in the industry and I'm thankful for that. But, you know, I look at your YouTube channel and you have what, like 75,000, I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah.
And so with that, dude, I got, you know, like I just hit 8,000, you know, which is awesome.
Bro,
You
you're
know,
gonna crush
I'm
it, man.
thankful
I
for
already
it.
feel it for you, bro. I was
Well,
feeling it.
thank you. So for me though, like just I feel like for me, just sowing into other people's life, being a blessing to other people, trying to, if I see a place where I can encourage them, build them up, give them a platform or opportunity. Even like I just did a video with one of our barbers, Kendrick. He's been cutting hair a year and a half, and he's hungry, man. And I don't have the biggest platform in the world, but the one I do have, I was able to promote him and ask him questions, and we
That's
did a
cool.
little interview together. And I feel like me sowing that into his life and helping build his platform and his influence, God has now just connected me with you and
That's
now
cool,
is giving
man.
me a platform, you know, to, you know what I'm saying? I just believe
Yeah,
that what you do for other people, God will make happen for you. And
absolutely.
so I mean, like you're an answer to prayer right now, bro.
That's awesome,
But
bro. I feel the same way, bro. I'm feeling it, man. I wanted you to I wanted you to share with these guys, and there's a whole video on this, and I want you guys to check it out. But when I was watching that how to become a better barber video, I want you to try to touch on the way that you said that in that video, because it hit home with me, and it's like, honestly, it's so much teaching I've done that I never even suggested that to somebody, and after I heard that, I was like,
yeah.
oh, why didn't I say that? You know, why wouldn't I think to tell people that? Can you run people? And also, there's people asking in the comments all kind of stuff, but one of them is how long does it typically take for you to do a fade? These people love you, by the way. They're writing all kind of nice stuff.
Well, awesome.
Uh, I
Hey,
keep
love you
dropping them on the
guys.
screen too. Like I keep dropping them when they put them, so you'll eventually see them maybe. But yeah, run us
Yeah.
through like how long does it
Yeah.
usually
I'll
take
go
you to
back and
do?
later and watch it. Okay, so let me answer the first question first. I know we kind of skipped over it, but someone asked, and you asked me, if I remember correctly, basically how to start doing designs. I think the best way to start doing designs is whenever you do a skin fade. If you have a friend who they get skin fades, you're going to shave that part off. So go ahead and do designs in the bottom if they have time and they'll let you practice on that and then shave it off. Matter of fact, how the boy that I first did designs on even thought about me doing these double edges is I used to be young and wild. I was very stupid when I was young, and I would have all these guys in my mom's garage, you know, and I had it set up just like a barber shop, and so like I had my back towards the mirror, you know, and I was in between the mirror and my station in the barber chair, and had it set up just like a shop. Had chairs along the wall, and I'd have 10 people in there hanging out in my mom's garage, and I would be cutting their hair. And while they're talking and laughing with the people, you know, we're all friends. While they're talking and laughing, they wouldn't even realize that I would be drawing something on the bottom of their head. And I would draw things that were not,
Appropriate.
they weren't good, right? Yeah, they were inappropriate for sure. And whenever I would turn them around, they would be looking in the mirror like, "Oh, that's so clean." But everybody behind them that was sitting there waiting, they seen it and started pointing, you know, and laughing and making fun of them. And they're like, "Dude, what'd you put in my head?"
Like,
So
don't
I'll
worry
just be like,
about it.
"I'm gonna shave it off anyways." Yeah, so I just shave it off. Well, that's whenever the boy was like, "Hey, if you can draw that kind of stuff in hair, you know, I'm sure you could do a double edge," and that's how that all
Right.
started. So I would encourage people, if you have someone that'll let you do designs in the bottom, shave it off, or they may even like it and say, "Hey, go ahead and keep that. That's dope." When it comes to, I think the next question was, how long does it take for me to do a haircut? Was that it?
Yeah, yeah, it was one of them.
Okay, so in our shop we have 30-minute haircut windows, and we have 45-minute haircut and beard windows. And obviously, when you're doing color enhancement, which I'm a huge fan of, some people don't like it. I don't care.
I
I
love it.
love it.
I
So,
love it.
um, yeah, me too. Hey, it's another thing to add to the arsenal, and other
Yep.
people love it, and it's an upcharge, so it works. But for me, I have to be done with a haircut in 30 minutes, have to be done with a haircut and beard in 45 in order to get to the next appointment. However, for those that know, I just raised my prices. I was at $20 a haircut, 25 for haircut and beard. That's the standard price in our shop.
Mm-hmm.
But I was doing that 20 years ago.
I
So
know, dude.
I was like, when I moved to Tampa, and I was like, yeah, I'm thinking, like prices of cuts must have like really jumped in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyways, I realized that wasn't the case, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've been, like I'm going backwards. So once I built a clientele and there was some demand there, Basio actually was like, hey, bro, I think it's time for you to raise your prices, and I went from 20 and
You guys
25 to
all have the
30 and
same
35.
at the shop?
And I thought I was so yeah, I was so scared to do that. And obviously I had the owner's permission and everything. They encouraged it. But I was so scared to do that because I was scared I was going to lose my clients, and I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
got bills to pay and everything. But I took the leap. I made the decision to, because there was demand there and I was booked out like a month in advance, I went ahead and raised my prices, and it just grew even more. I maybe lost 2 people, and it grew. So here recently, after the pandemic, my wife, I just began to lose my love for barbering because I was cutting hair sometimes to 11 o'clock at
Yeah,
night.
you were
I
telling
was
me till 9 o'clock.
just wore out. Yeah, man, it became a job because the demand is there, which I'm thankful for. But whenever you're back to back to back to back to back, and you have this 30, 45 minute time limit, it can be stressful when the next one pulls up and you don't feel like you're done with that haircut yet. So now you have someone waiting, and now that's going to affect the next appointment, and it just snowballs throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, whenever we took this break, my wife noticed just that I was a lot more peaceful. I mean, we have a peaceful home, but she just noticed inside of me I was more relaxed, and
Mm-hmm.
and she makes very good money. So she said, babe, why don't you just go ahead and just stop cutting, just stay home. I have a graphic design business as well. So she was like, why don't you just do that? And I was like, nah, I still love to cut hair. I hate it right now because it feels like a job instead of my passion.
Fun.
And so I
Yeah.
just need to figure out a way how to get my passion back. So talking with her, praying about it, talking with Basio, we kind of came up with a solution that I needed to try to cut my clientele base in half and raise my prices. So if I double my prices, then if I lost half of my clients, I'm still making the same amount of money, but now I have the opportunity to take longer on each haircut.
Yeah. Breathing
So,
room.
the problem with that is I didn't lose half my clientele, and I'm actually gaining more. So right now I'm currently telling everyone I'm not accepting new clients, which is a great problem to have. But now I just have to figure out who I'm going to cut and all that stuff, because I do need to. I can't work as hard as I've been doing.
No, it's
That's
miserable.
why I made the transition. Yeah, it's miserable. So just trying to find my love for barbering again. However, so I said all that to say that now I have an hour window for a haircut, and I have an hour and a half for a haircut and beard. But because part of my transition of raising my prices and cutting back was also to focus on editing videos for YouTube. And I just want to really do a lot of YouTube stuff. I love video, I love editing videos, and there again, graphic design, that type of
Cool,
stuff.
man.
So the intro, put together on my YouTube. But those are things I enjoy doing, and it's artsy. It gives me
Yeah.
another way to vent as an artist. And right now, it's been challenging because I put out there, hey, I'm gonna drop a video every day for 30 days, and I just want to put content out there. But I thought that I was going to be losing clients, and that I would get off maybe like 3 o'clock, and then have the rest of the day to just edit and all that stuff. Well, almost every night this week I've been home, like getting home, leaving the shop after 9, and then trying to rush home and throw a video
Oh, it's
together,
horrible. It crushes
and
your
and
creativity,
not
man.
even worry about the. Yeah, man, it definitely does. So, I mean, it'll be 11:58, and I'm dropping it like, yes, I made it. I made
Yeah.
it for the day, which obviously you don't get a whole lot of views that way
You're doing
because
daily
there's certain
uploads?
times and stuff. Right now, I'm doing every day
I've
for 30
noticed,
days. I'm
bro.
on. Yeah, I'm on day. I think today is like day 25, so I got five
Jeez.
or six more days to go, and then I'm gonna go to probably 3 days a week. So that'll give me more time in my schedule clear up. But yeah, so right now I'm milking every bit of that hour. I'm milking every bit of that hour and a half, man, just to
Yeah.
make sure I'm recording and just enjoying my customers, man, and taking my time to detail and just having a good time, relaxing. I'm still there late, later than I want to be, but I am taking that time to kind of just enjoy the process.
Yeah, I went through a lot of that same kind of stuff, man, where I was overworking myself. I was killing myself, and part of it was I was in a walk-in shop before I bought my shop that I'm in now, and switching over to appointments made life a lot easier. And then I just limited my schedule
Yes.
to what I really wanted to do was like leave by 6 p.m. every day. I don't want to, like, I
Yeah.
got kids and I want to spend time with them. And then the YouTube thing, and then also editing videos for other clients and stuff. I wanted to have a day that I dedicated to that. So I just took Wednesdays out of the shop, and it's really like restorative, like you were saying. Like, it makes me happy to be there on the days that I'm there. I'm fine, and I'm getting everything I want basically filmed, and I just do a lot of the filming during the week. And then I got that Wednesday to just try to crush a couple videos, set my uploads just to go, build myself out a couple weeks so I'm not like pulling my hair out, hoping that I'll have an upload this week, or hoping that I'll do what I need to do to keep the YouTube algorithm happy. And
Yeah.
it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and a lot of people don't understand how stressful it is on both your family and your just yourself. Because my
Yeah.
son's always like,
Yeah.
Dad, you gotta work. Dad, you gotta work. I'm like, yo, you want some toys, right? Well, Dad's got to go out and try to get you these toys. He's like, all right, Dad, go to work. He's like, but
Well, I want to say once again, man, I just appreciate all your hard work, man, your dedication to YouTube, to teaching other people, building other people in the industry, because it is, man,
thanks, bro.
it is a lot of work, and it's a lot of sacrifice away from your family. It's a lot of, sleepless hours where maybe you're up at night trying to finish stuff or whatever. And anyways, so I applaud you, man. I mean, it is difficult, and you've been doing it for quite some time now, man. So we appreciate that for
That's
sure.
awesome, dude. I can't thank you enough, man. That's a huge compliment coming from you, and I respect you guys and your work big time, man. And oh, and the other thing, man, don't forget to mention because we're getting kind of close to the end of the show here, and
Yeah, we didn't even mention Ahmad yet.
I know
So
we didn't even get there yet, bro. I could talk to you forever, bro. But I do want you to mention the how to become a better barber thing, though. Let's go
oh
ahead.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, sorry.
circle back to that real
So
quick.
okay, so what I discovered is I was teaching people. It's been years ago. Um, I was teaching different guys different techniques, different systems, things like that, things that we do on our YouTube channel, right? And I noticed that there wasn't a whole lot of improvement. I mean, there was, but not what I thought there should be.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy came up to me and he said, "Hey, will you critique my cuts?" And I hate critiquing cuts. And if you've ever DM'd me on Instagram, or if you're watching and reach out, "Hey, will you critique my cut?" Usually I don't, because number one, it's so hard to critique a cut. Just by a picture, because there again, like I said, pictures are hard to really make look good
Oh, I know.
regardless. They're challenging. Um, so, but it's just difficult to do. And you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, because I can look at my own pictures and point out things that I need to change,
Yeah.
and some people are cool with that and some people aren't. So he came up to me and he asked if I would critique, and I said, "No, man, I don't want to, hurt your feelings. We work together in the shop. I didn't want there to be any weird feelings after anything, And he's like, "Listen, I promise you, I will take it, whatever you say, I will take it, in a positive way. and I'll take it as a learning experience and all that good stuff. So I said, well, I'll tell you what, go do the best haircut you can possibly do, and then call me over when you're done and I'll look at it. And anyway, so he did this haircut. He called me over and he's like, man, that thing's blurry, ain't it? And I looked and I said, well, you see this line right here? You need to take that out, and see that dark spot? I would take that out. Maybe you could do this over here. And he was like, I never even seen that.
You're right.
And he said, I didn't even notice it until you pointed at it. And now that you're pointing at it, I can see it. And I just had this revelation at that moment that you have to develop your eye. Mm-hmm. That there's some people that will never see it because they don't have anyone there to help them, or maybe they just don't see that way. But if someone actually points at it and shows them, then so you can have all the skill in the world as far as the technique. And I feel like what we do is very important, is vital to building people. But I think the greatest thing we can do is help them develop their eye and help them see what they can't see, because you can't fix what you can't see.
Absolutely.
You know, you may have the proper tools to fix it, but if you don't see it, you can't fix it. So the reason I love doing like hands-on type stuff, classes, and I may do, like some Scraft blendz, class or something one day where we come together, but I want to do it in person so I can actually have them do haircuts and then say, do you see anything here or whatever? And just help develop their eye. I think that's
super cool.
Yeah.
And then, basically that's what he's basically saying too, is like, don't be afraid to ask, you know what I mean? Don't be afraid to ask for help, because it's hard for a lot of us, especially if you feel like you should know and you don't. Like, you got to be patient with yourself too, man. It's so easy for us to get frustrated with stuff that we don't know. Like me too. Like, I've been learning Apple Motion a lot, and like sometimes I'll run into like a little hiccup, and I'll get like incredibly frustrated with myself until I take a deep breath and I'm like, bro, you don't know how to do that yet. Like, you ain't at that level yet. Like, you got to be patient with yourself. Just take a minute, step back. All right, let's go back to where I knew what was going on, what went wrong, and just kind of, not be afraid to ask for help, and not be afraid to be forgiving of yourself for not knowing something, because you weren't born to know how to cut hair. This was a skill that was developed, and I tell people, for the most part, all the students that I've had come through the barber school, I was there for about 10 years. I would say almost all of them were capable of learning this. Some were at different stages. Some were getting things really fast. And matter of fact, there's one little story I'll tell you. We had this girl who, when we were doing the shaving on the balloons, she was legitimately popping the balloons, and I really hadn't seen a student do this. Most of the time when people shave the balloons, it's a little hard to pop unless you actually are making a mistake. And I sensed that she was getting really, really frustrated, and she felt very alone in that moment. So what I did was I went over to like two of the other students, and I actually just wrote it on my phone, like a text message, and held them to them. And I was like, can you just pop your balloon? Like, as though it was an accident. You know what I mean? Man. That's dope. And they did, and it made her feel better right away, and she grew some confidence right there. And they never said nothing about it. Like, and when you pop a balloon with a lot of shaving cream on it, it's like an explosion goes everywhere. But that was just one of those moments that I think I'll remember forever, with like, teaching people and just trying to help people not be frustrated, and just recognize that you got to be patient with yourself.
Yeah. And I think that, we got to be careful about pride. We have to lay down the pride and be, like you said, we have to be willing to ask and be open to constructive criticism. One of the biggest challenges I think that we face is we want everybody to think we've got it all together. And because of that, we don't want to learn from anyone. And even it gets worse as you get older and you get a bigger platform, and because then people think, they say things like you're the GOAT, and ultimately, if we're not careful,
we start believing it.
The GOAT doesn't, even if we know that it's not true, right? but we have to put on this front like we got it all figured out. When in
Right.
reality, we don't. We all have weaknesses that we can build on, and strengthen. So I look at different people around me that their sheer game is way above mine, and I could walk around like I'm the GOAT. I don't need no help, or I can humble myself and say, hey, bro, like, can you show me that technique, or man, how are you
Yeah.
doing this and that, or whatever, and learn. Because ultimately, if you want to be the GOAT, I mean, we like to throw around the word master barber a lot, but if you really want to master the craft, it's not just fades.
No.
It's shear work. It's the razor. It's everything. And so for me, now that color enhancement is a new part of our industry, I want to master that as well.
Oh
I
yeah.
want to figure out everything, and I want to have everything in my arsenal, because anyone that sits in my chair, I don't care their ethnicity, their hair texture, whatever, I want to be able to do the best quality cut that I can do on that person. And
Absolutely.
sometimes, man, that's humbling yourself, and it's watching other videos. It's so for me, for example, I mean, Get Beamed. I don't know if you're familiar with Get Beamed. He's part of our crew, but he does curly textured hair, and he's always uses the color pencil and color
Mm-hmm.
enhancement and all that stuff. And when I wanted to know more about color enhancement, I just began to devour his videos. And
Right.
then I seen him using this little pencil, to get that little white ash mark or whatever, which really is useless at the end of the day. I mean, it's
It's just
great for
cool, man. It's
pictures
just
and
fun.
videos. But that's it. It's cool. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna add that to my arsenal too,
Right.
because some people might come in and they might say, hey, have you ever heard of this guy Get Beamed? Yeah, I watch his videos. Hey, you know how he makes that white line on there? Can you do that for me?
They do.
Absolutely, man. Let's do it. And they do. So having just
I had a
I
guy
guess the
call
mindset that
the other day, dude. He calls the shop and he was like, "Do you be using fibers when you cut?" Like, it's a very strange question for a client to ask. Like, the fact that this
yeah,
client even knew about fibers or anything
yeah,
like that was like a little bit. And I was like, "Yeah, I can, no problem. We have it, And
yeah,
I use them
yeah,
frequently if I'm taking pictures or if I have a client who asks for it,
yeah.
And I also use the Kiss Express. I use the airbrush. I love that stuff. I think it's, especially when you're doing designs and you're doing them on somebody with like a light colored hair and you kind of want that to
Yeah.
show a little bit more or something. There's so many little tricks that you can use that actually really make it kind of stand out a little bit more, make it look a little bit better. And for them people with that blonde hair, they've never really probably seen that. It usually blows them away. But
Absolutely.
shoot, I
Absolutely.
might have to retitle this video. We might have to revisit the mod topic in another one, man.
Yeah, man.
I feel like I got more out
That'd
of
be
this than you
awesome.
guys. I'm greedily sucking up the information over here. I learned a lot from you, buddy. And
Well, dude, I enjoyed it, man. I'm having a great time.
yeah,
Sorry
man.
to take so long, bro. I mean, I hate that we went over your time. I
No,
apologize
no, we,
about
we
that. I
always
like
go
to
over the
respect
time.
you.
We always go over the time,
Okay,
though.
I
It's all good.
I thought we're done at 9 o'clock. So I was like,
No,
oh
no.
man,
No,
yeah.
I never pull it plug. I mean, there's been times where we went like 9:45, whatever. I always just
Okay.
try to. We actually held on to a lot of people though. Like I've been paying attention to the amount of people in the room. There was like, I want to say between 60 and 70 people the whole time. So that's pretty cool. And
Very nice. Very nice.
I appreciate you
Very
guys
cool.
for hanging out for such a long show. And a lot of these people commented over and
Absolutely.
over again. There's a handful. I think you answered questions without even being asked the question. That's why I just let you go, because there was people asking questions about doing enhancements and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and you just literally answered them without even knowing. uh, but yeah, dude,
Yeah.
maybe what I'll do is I'll fix this thumbnail. I'll retitle this video a little bit so that people can actually have an accurate thumbnail when they click on it. And maybe I gotta have you back to talk about these mods a little bit more, because if you want to
I'm
just
down, bro.
share, like, if you want to just share some of the mods that you're working with right now, or just talk about that quickly, since I did bring these people under the premise of that. And everybody's
Okay.
been enjoying the show, though. Everybody's like part two. I'm seeing part two all over the place here.
All
Uh,
right. All right. All right.
so we might have
So
to,
basically,
yeah, make a plan.
what I'm working on, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. So what I'm working on right now, basically, just kind of put it out there. whenever you talked about when I first came across your video and you were talking about the 50 cals, it really caught my attention because when you're using them, they look like they cut so smooth, right? So I was like, I gotta get these, man. And that magnetic motor, it really, I was like, I want it, and I'm a big clipper guy. I'll buy 5 pair of everything. I want the newest, latest. I just love clippers. So I bought them, and for me personally, they just wouldn't cut, man. I don't know if it was my pair, but the motor was it was like the blade felt like it was bogged down, like in the hair. And I'm like, man, his stuff just flows. I mean, and so I was kind of disappointed. So I think maybe I might have a defective pair. So I gotta,
dude, those blades are really funny,
so
man.
I was like,
they gotta be perfect, those blades.
So actually, I took the bracket off of the 50 cal, which you can use for the wall seniors, right?
Right.
I'm pretty sure it's the same bracket.
Yeah.
So my thought was, I love my fast feeds, favorite clippers of all time. So I was like, hey, it's a magnetic motor. Why don't I go ahead and modify this bracket and put the fast feed blade on this? So I actually put the fast feed blade on there with a wall senior
top blade,
ceramic blade, right? So I had ceramic with the fast feed blade on.
Oh, you're getting crazy over here.
It didn't matter what blade I. Hey, now it was cutting better than it ever cut before.
Wow!
But it's still, I think there was something wrong with. I think there's something wrong with the motor or something, because it just like. It would bog down, and everyone's saying, oh, these things cut so good, so smooth. Mine just never would, and it didn't matter what blade I put on it. However, with that blade mod on it, it cut better than any other blade that I tried.
I see.
And I was like, ooh, this we might be onto something. But I would let other people use it to try it out in the shop, and they were like, why does it sound like it's bogging down for? And there again, it didn't matter what blade I put on, I just couldn't do it. I'm like, I guess it's the clipper, I don't know. So I want to try it with a different one, or maybe you can, try it. So honestly, that was a year ago whenever you dropped your video. I went instantly to our supply store here in town. I bought it, and I was like, I want to put the fast feed on there. That was my whole purpose to buying it, because I was like, I want this thing to cut like the fast feeds. I want cordless fast feeds. And anyways. Then after that, and I just put them in a drawer. After that, I heard there was people talking about, hey, I wonder what a master blade would be like on a senior, right? So then we know that there's people that's been producing those or whatever. But so I went ahead and I just got another bracket off my walls, and I modded it out to put the master blade on there. Same exact thing that you did in your video, right? So I had that for a while. And then all of a sudden it became, like popular, and everybody's, like buying the brackets and all that good stuff. But the whole time I had this bracket that I made first for the OSTERs laying off to the side. So just the other day, I was actually getting ready to mod another bracket to put because I love my purple magnetic guards. And the one I use the most is my wall senior with, the ceramic cutting blade and the master blade, so that way I can use my purple magnetic guards. That's kind of been my go-to clipper lately. So my 1919s have just been sitting off to the side, and I haven't used them at all because they had a wall blade on it, and then I would have to have my wall guards over here and my purple magnetic guards, and it's just too much clutter. So so then I was like, you know what, I got some free time. Let me go ahead and take this clipper home. I'm going to switch the batteries out, the 245 batteries, which I know you wanted to touch on. But
yeah, dude, I wanted to hear about those too, man.
I was like, okay, let me build this bracket. And honestly, as I'm looking for a bracket to mod for the master blade, to put another master blade to have 2 of them, I seen the one that was already pre-drilled that I did for the 50 cals, and I was like, is this that is this that OSTER fast feed mod that I did or whatever? And I put it on there, slapped the blade on with ceramic blade, and
Boom.
dude, it cuts like butter, man. I mean, it's so smooth, man. I love it. So where the master blade has that harsh like crunch,
Mm-hmm.
this one you can still hear the crunch, but it just has a smooth. It's so weird. It's hard to explain, but it's real
Yeah.
soft, like buttery kind of feeling. But it doesn't feel exactly like the fast feeds, but there is something different about it. It's unique. It's a
Mm-hmm.
different type of cut. And for certain hair, today I was cutting this guy's hair and I'm just sitting there flicking, man. And I'm like, wow, this is coming out so blurry. Like, I
Yeah.
mean,
You
it's
were
just
you
one of
were
those
not
things I was
struggling, and
like,
you were
there's
just like,
something. Yeah, I was like, there's something good about this blade on
that's
this clipper,
cool.
so just putting that little video out, I've had many people hit me up. Hey, man, if you make the brackets, we're gonna buy them. So it's actually a lot of people. So at this point,
Should
I'm
do it,
thinking
bro.
about just
Make it happen.
yeah, just doing it. I think I'm gonna connect with a manufacturer and just have them made. The only problem with that is I'm very I'm big into honor. I'm big into I don't want to step on people's toes. And sometimes you do. I mean, that's just life, right? You're going to offend people. It doesn't matter. But I try not to.
Yeah.
And anyway, so like for me and you, we know how to make those brackets, right? For the Andis. But because somebody else is selling them, and that's kind of the thing, we haven't, just went and did it ourselves. I mean, we've made our own, obviously, but we haven't started selling them to the world
Yeah.
because it's like,
It's
okay,
kind of,
this guy,
it's
he's kind
like
of running in that lane.
you think about it
So
this, like,
for
what if
me,
the first shear that was made in Rome, if they were like, yo, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's just anything,
it's
bro. It's
facts,
going to be
bro.
competition when
I mean, look at cars.
you get out there. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
like
you
when
got
Ford made the
Fords, you got
first car,
Chevys, you got,
Chevy was like,
I mean,
y'all
you can't
made
say
that.
that. So I mean, yeah, exactly. So for me, I was just kind of like, it's a touchy subject, whatever. So I actually looked around to see if anybody had did this mod yet before I even made the video. And anyways, I didn't see anything. So I was like, all right, cool. I came up with something that I don't know anybody else has.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was getting some views or whatever. What's funny is different people have tagged me in like one or two other videos where someone had did it already, but they might have like 23 subscribers, so no
Right.
one's seen it. And for me, I'm like, oh man, I don't want to try to take any clout from them or whatever. But like we've talked about before, it's a bracket and we're putting some holes in it. You know what I'm
That's what I'm
saying?
saying.
And
I mean,
and
it's just,
like, hey, if there's a demand, it's just like haircuts, in my opinion. You can give haircuts and I can give haircuts. That doesn't mean I
yep.
have the corner on the market when it comes to haircuts and I'm the only one that can cut hair. There's barber
It's
shops on
everything.
every corner,
Shoes, clothes, you name it.
Yeah,
Rockaware.
so
Rockaware's, you know what I mean? Like, you
that's it.
just, it was,
So right now, I'm talking to some manufacturers, and I might go ahead and have some manufactured, or they
they're
can
saying
send
they
me
can't wait.
the brackets.
They got people
Yeah,
in here.
so
They're
I'm
going, can't wait for you to drop them brackets. Do what you got to do. Never mind. Work hard. Don't let it bother you. I had a lot of people saying some good positive stuff, bro. I feel the same way, man.
that's what's up.
And
That's
if
what's up.
if it's something that you can do and people want it, man, why not? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'll be
yeah.
right there to support you with that, man. And
I
that's just
appreciate it,
moving the
bro.
needle forward, man. It's sort of like it's just important for us to keep trying to keep these. Really, I think we're kind of doing is in a way is we're keeping the pressure on some of these clipper companies, because if we don't do it, who is going to do it?
Yeah, yeah,
They have some of them have been able to kind of sell us the same things over and over again for so many years that they've just changed very minor things, and we keep buying it thinking we're getting something different, and we find out like, hey, a clipper from the 50s still does as good of work as a clipper from
yeah,
2020. Why is that? When you can have a car from 2020 that blows the
yeah,
away the competition.
yeah.
So it's just like we've always kind of taken a little bit of a backseat to technology because we're not a consumer grade product, and not the masses are not going to buy this product. But at the same time, I still feel like the door is open for the perfect clipper, and we're just never going to get it. I've kind of got to that point where I feel like we're just never going to get it. I don't know if you follow Barber and those guys with the Talking Tools podcast and stuff. And, they got an awesome thing going, and they're teaching me a lot of stuff when I listen to their podcasts and stuff. I try to keep up on their because they're taking it to some next level stuff. They're getting in the people who are creating these, and they're like talking to them and asking them all these questions, and it's awesome, you know. But
it is awesome. I watched their latest video too. Yeah, it was dope.
Share with us about the Tomb 45 battery, because I think that's super cool. I think that addresses one of my main complaints about one of my favorite clippers. I just happen to have one sitting here missing a bracket. Actually, do you recognize this bracket?
I see it's modified.
The holes that I drilled. I had a Masters on it.
So with the Tomb 45, what I love about Tomb 45 is just the innovation, you know, and that's one of the things with the team, you know, and is always coming up with different ways that we can make the industry better. So if it's a bracket, it's a bracket, you know, but anyway, so just what I love about Basio, let me say this, sitting next to him and working with him, he knows that business is simply a solution to a problem, right? Mm-hmm. So you see a problem, and if you come up with the answer to that problem, then that's business, right? So people have hair problems. We solve that problem. We get paid for solving.
Where's
that
the cordless blow dryer?
What, you know,
where's the cordless blow dryer?
And that's the thing. So the thing is, we have to look around and say, so what are problems in the industry and how can we fix them? And obviously, the more connections you have, the more finances you have, you know, the easier it is to do that. However, starting on a small scale, you know, Basio basically came up with a shave gel, Tomb 45 shave gel. And from there, it just, you know, went to air compressors,
I use that 45 shave gel. I love that stuff.
Power clips. I mean, all kind of stuff. So one of the things that we were seeing was, okay, like there's a problem with battery life. You know, you can have them fully charged, your favorite clippers, and yet they die, you know, 3 haircuts in or whatever. That's one of the things I loved about the 50 cals, like you were talking about. Them things lasted all day, you know. And I was like, why can't they take this battery and put it in, you know, something like the Wall Senior or something? But that was kind of, I guess, the idea. Like, man, there are actually clippers out there, like my JRLs. I can use them things for like 2 days without them dying, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, cool, okay, too. So it's like, so there are batteries out there that can last. The question is, why isn't Wall putting them in the clippers?
Exactly.
And now, obviously, if you know, it's just about money at the end of the day, in my opinion, because then you got to buy a new clipper, you know. So it was like, hey, what if we can take that same battery, you know, that's like in a JRL or whatever, and put it inside of, you know, a Wall, man, then we can solve a problem in the industry.
I'm showing off your Instagram, you know, by the way. You guys go ahead, give him a follow.
Oh, man.
I'm going through some of your work, bro. You are an excellent barber, dude. This is top-notch work, bro. This everything.
I appreciate it, man.
It's just so.
I appreciate
it's clear that you take a lot of pride in it, and you do your thing, man. And you know, loving it, man. I love when I see a profile this well put together, and it also looks too like you really have focused on keeping keeping this a real portfolio. You know, I see a lot of people. There's been plenty of my own subscribers that I'll shout out from time to time. You know, just trying to help them grow, and I'll go to the thing and they'll have like some inappropriate stuff on there too, and I'm like, listen, bro, if you're trying to grow your brand, like if you want to have a spam account or if you want to express yourself in some other way, just set up a business account that's going to be business, mostly business. It's okay if you want to show some of your personality and you want to do some extra stuff, but like the bulk of what you're doing should be visible here, you know? And I would say that your profile is freaking awesome, dude, and you're definitely a
I
phenomenal
appreciate that.
barber.
Well, so for me, that's one of the challenges of being a father of four daughters and a husband
Four?
is, you know, yeah, four girls. So my oldest is 21, then 16, 15, and about to be 14. And anyway, so with that, now that I'm getting a little bit of influence, on Instagram, I have my Shannon Craft page,
Mm-hmm.
right, that I don't even go on ever, but I just post for like happy birthdays to my kids and stuff like that, and picture of my wife, baby, I love you type thing. But I'm always on Scraft Blends. I barely do Facebook or anything else. I'm just always on Scraft Blends, and that is my business page. I wanted it to be different, so I only had all haircuts on there. And then my daughter started saying, so like, hey, are you ever going to post pictures of us? And I'm like, baby, I post pictures on my page all the time. They're like, no, we're talking about S-Crop Blends where everybody can see them. And so anyways, that's why you'll see, me posting. And ultimately, I love people and I love cutting hair. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's, I got to take care of my family. I got to build them up and support them in whatever they do. And I want them to know that I'm proud to be their daddy above,
Of
proud to
course, of
be
course.
a barber, or having any kind of influence. They are my greatest creation, I guess, my greatest blessing. And anyway, so that's why I'll throw a little picture out of my wife, or I'll, throw a picture out of my daughter, my
Hey, there's
girls,
nothing wrong with
and tell
that
them
at
happy
all,
birthday.
man.
Yeah, yeah.
But you can tell,
And,
like, when I go to your
and what I
page,
found is, people,
yeah, I'm like, when I go to your page, like, I know that you're dedicated to your craft. You take it very serious, and I can see
yeah,
exactly the caliber. And how many people have you talked to when you cut their hair, when they move and they're like, yo, I can't find nobody like you. I can't find a good barber in this town, whatever. And I always tell them, like, yo, if you find the barbers in that area and you go to their Instagram, you'll get a pretty good feel generally about who's taking it serious and who's not, you know?
yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll just add to this. Usually, if someone moves away and they're having a problem, I actually, because now that we're networking and you meet new barbers on Instagram or you see their work, I'll say, hey, have you looked up this guy in the area? I'm looking at his stuff. He's a phenomenal barber. So even barbers are looking at these other
Yeah.
barbers' work to pass along clients. But if you got smoking weed on there and
Yeah.
F the world and you don't even have pictures of your haircuts on there, and if
How
they
will we
do,
know?
that's not quality. Yeah. And I'm not going to send people to you because I don't know, but when I see someone is focused and they're putting out good quality stuff, and even obviously we all can't afford the best cameras and everything, but you can do the best that you can with what you have, and you can tell when people are really trying to make an effort. And if I see the quality there and I feel like that's going to be a good person I can send one of my clients to, then I'll even hit that barber up and say, hey man, this is Shannon, um, from Tampa, Florida. I just had one of my customers move in that area, and I was wondering if I could, hook you guys up or whatever. And that even goes back to, it's about relationship, not just,
Exactly.
paying the bills, because now I'm trying to put them in another barber's chair where they're going to be taken care of or whatever. But yeah, so I take pride in, I mean, that's my promotion, and it's free advertisement. I mean, it's
Exactly.
like, man, make it the best that it can be. And what's cool is, though, for me, um, I've seen my clientele base grow so much that I'm turning people away, and I don't have time, to cut these people's
Yeah.
hair, even though I would love to. But the number one hashtag that has brought me, I'd say 80% of my customers when it comes to Instagram, is hashtag Tampa Barbers. Now, if you live in Naples, hashtag
Naples
Naples
Barbers.
Barbers, or hashtag Ontario Barbers, whatever, because hashtags are so serious in the day that we live in. And there again, this coming from a guy who didn't know anything anything about anything, not too long ago. But I realized people actually, they'll hashtag Tampa barbershops, Tampa barbers, and all that stuff. So I use every hashtag possible to try to get my, and I'm posting constantly, or I was posting more, not as much now, but I wanted to make sure if they hit hashtag Tampa barbers, that they seen at least 5 of my pictures and that they all look consistent and they all look the same. And I would have barbers that would hit me up, this part of our crew, that use the same hashtag. And they're like, dude, I'll look up hashtag Tampa Barbers and I've posted 10 pictures and yours are right there. And I'm like,
Right
because you
there.
don't post as many as I do. I'm posting more, And that's the thing. When
That's a
they
good
put it, I
tip.
want mine to pop up. And I wanted to stand out. So when I go to an area, and I've had professional athletes that hit me up, hey, man, I've seen your stuff. Is there any way I can get in with you? And they tell me that when they go to cities and they're traveling around and they want to get cleaned up, these are ball players, professionals, NFL, NBA or NBA, MLB, whatever. They're going around and they're looking under hashtags because they're in a new city, they don't know anyone, and
Hmm.
they're hashtag Tampa Barbers, and then they start looking. Matter of fact,
You're gonna be having
off
me
of hashtag
reinvestigating
Tampa
my
Barbers.
tags.
Dude, it's important. Listen, Chris Brown and his team came, and they were doing a big concert in Tampa at Amelia Arena or whatever it's called. Anyways, and they hit me up and was like, "Hey, this is Chris Brown and dancers and I think Yellow Beezy or something like that. I don't know. But anyways, they were like, dude, you're a beast. We want you to cut our hair and everything." And it was on a Saturday. They wanted me to cancel all my appointments that day and go to the arena and cut their hair. And of course, everybody's like, "Oh, dude, oh man, that's who that is." Of course, I know who that is. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
But my thought process was, I may cut your hair one time
And
in my
lose.
whole life, and I'm canceling on faithful people that come every week or every other week. These are my clients. These are my people. I don't
Right.
care about clout and name chasing and all that stuff. Like, these are the people that feed my
Wow.
family. And so, anyways, I mean, I'm going to be really transparent, and and just kind of throw this out there. If you ever get an opportunity, so I told him I couldn't do it. I apologize. I'm honored that you would even think about me or whatever. I said, let me refer you to someone else. And I called someone that I thought may be interested, and I hit him up and I said, hey, man, would you be interested in this? Oh, man, absolutely. I was like, all right, cool. So he did what he had to do to make the arrangement to go out there, and I hooked him up with the whole situation. Well, this is what frustrates me, and just for all, however many people are watching, um, don't ever do this, man. When you're given an opportunity like that, and for me, I don't need you to be like, yeah, Shannon's the man, he hooked me up or whatever. But this dude took pictures with these guys, all right, and he posted like, yeah, whenever these guys come to town, you know who they're looking for. They hit up your boy and this and that. And I was like,
Ugh.
that's just not my personality. I was really like, dang,
Disappointed.
you couldn't have
Yeah.
been like, hey man, Scraft blends, thanks for the connect or whatever. I
For
mean,
sure.
and there again, I don't need the attention, but just like the respect of the whole thing kind of like
Right.
threw me off, man. And now this guy, he there's been other ways that we could have blessed him,
Right.
but because of that situation, I'm like, okay, I know what kind of guy you are, and
Yeah.
I cut him off. I cut him off. Like, I mean, I'm still cool with him,
Jeez, that's
cordial. Hey, how you
crazy.
doing?
This whole
But
story is crazy, bro. I
yeah,
gotta
man,
kick it with you, man. I could like, I
it's
feel like
crazy,
I'm just
bro.
like, wow, dude, that's wild. So you turned down Chris Brown. You know what happened to me one time, dude? I was leaving the shop to actually, the oddest thing, dude. My cousin sold his house and left a motorcycle there and needed me to go move it. And it was like important that it happened at that time. He was like, bro, they're moving in like tomorrow. It's got to be gone by tonight. I leave the shop to go help my cousin, and Mike Epps is in the parking lot, right? And he comes
Let's
up to
go.
me Yo, just like Friday, bro. He comes up to me. He's like, "What's up, player?" And he shakes my hand. I don't really recognize him. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm like, "What's up, man?" I'm just being cool with them and stuff. And he was like, "I want you to cut my hair." And I was like, "Bro, how do you even know I'm a barber? Like, I'm not even
yeah,
like known by you at all." And he
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
"You you got the look, man." He was like, I know you a barber, man." And I was like, "Listen, one of my guys can take you because you don't got an appointment. I gotta go." And he was like, Nah, I want you to do it." And then I was like, "Why do you look so familiar?" And he was like, "I'm Mike Epps, yo." And I was like, "From Friday." And it was like, I was blown away because then it all hit me. I was like, "Oh my God, that's Day Day." So we, we go up in the
Yeah,
shop,
that's
and he was
crazy.
so cool, man. And it was such a cool experience. We wound up going to his show later that day. And what it turned out to be was I actually cut some people that worked at the hotel that he was staying at, and when he just went down, he was like, "Where do I go?" So this guy comes in.
They told him, that's right.
Yeah, the hotel, the guy who recommended him comes to the hotel. He comes to get a cut like shortly after he left, and he was like, I was like, "Yo, you sent him?" And he was like, "Yeah, man. I told him where I knew he would get a good cut, and I knew you would take care of him." And I was like, "Thanks, man. Your cut's free today. I wanted to help him out, whatever I could do." And even
Yeah,
though it was
yeah,
free,
yeah.
he still
Bless
threw
him.
money on the table and left. But I was trying to do right by him at
Yeah,
least. But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it was
Here's a
cool.
crazy story, man. If we got time, so whenever we first opened up the headlines that I work at, Headlines Land O'Lakes, um, we were sitting there, and of course, when you open a brand new shop, no one really knows about it at this time, so you have to build clientele. So we're kind of standing around, and this Bentley pulls up into the parking lot to go to the right next to our shop is a dry cleaners, and then UPS and stuff. And he was going, I believe, to the dry cleaners, and we seen this Bentley pull up. And when the barber said, "Dang, look at that Bentley." So we're all standing at the window looking at this Bentley, and we were admiring the car, not even paying attention who was driving it. And John Cena gets out of the car, and we're like, "Man, is that John Cena?" Well, anyway, so make a long story short, he in our plaza that our barber shop is in, he tans there, he eats there, he does his UPS there and his dry cleaning. So we were like, "Hey, bro, you need a cut," type of deal.
Uh huh.
And anyways, so he gets his hair cut at our shop, and he's the type, he's not into appointments. He wants to stick his head in and, "Hey, can anybody get me?" So whenever we first started the shop and I had more free time, I cut his hair a few times. And anyway, so that's cool, to cut John Cena's hair.
Sure.
He's growing it out now because of movies, but he'll still come in and get a trim or whatever, and he'll stick his head in. And usually, what's so cool is, and I love it for our new guys, but the new guys, they never have the clientele that the old guys have, just
Mm-hmm.
because you've been there longer. People know you build a clientele, so they'll start, and they usually all get an opportunity to cut John Cena's hair because they're the only ones available. So like for me, you can only get my chair now by appointment. I don't take walk-ins, so like I don't ever get to cut his hair anymore. But it's cool to see their faces
That's
when he
cool.
walks in. They're like, "Oh my God, that's John Cena!" And then they get to cut his hair. It's a dope experience. So
That's really cool, man. That's the thing too for you guys watching or whatever, dude. You just never know what might happen. And there's people who are not famous at all who might walk through your door and might bless you in some other way. And the amount of people you can meet, air conditioner guys, electricians. I mean, just people who will literally bend over backwards for you at some point if you do the same for them.
yeah.
But
Well, listen to this, man, and just to add to that. So the guy who gave me $1,500, no one knows his name. The
right.
guy who gave me $1,000 for a haircut, no one knows his name. I had a guy that was, uh, this was years ago, my first barbershop that I ever opened, probably 20 years ago. I was cutting this guy's hair, and we just developed a relationship. I didn't know much about his financial status. I mean, he didn't look like no millionaire for sure,
Mm-hmm.
but I just cut his hair, and we just, man, built an amazing relationship. And one day he starts asking me just about my dream, and have you ever thought about opening up a shop and this and that. And we're just having casual conversation. He says, So like, how much does it cost to open up a shop anyways? And I said, well, it's about $1,000 per chair. Then you got to have floor mats and stations. And I'm just throwing out all these numbers in first, last security. And then, so I mean, the thousands of dollars, was racked up. And anyways, he said, hey, come outside. I left my wallet in the truck, pay for the haircut. Just walk out with me real quick. And I was like, yeah, cool. So I follow him outside, and he gives me the money for the haircut. And I see him turn around doing something. And he wrote a check for all of those thousands of dollars. And he said, here, go open up your shop. I was like, I would cut your hair for the rest of your life for free. Thank you. And he's like, no, dog, I don't want to ever get a free haircut from you. I pay for my haircut. I just wanted to be a blessing to you, being your blessing to me. And that's how I opened up my first barbershop, debt free, man. Somebody
out. Really?
Yeah.
You should have said, yo, so man, it costs a lot to open the shops these days. Whew, you can't imagine inflation.
It was a lot. It was thousands of dollars.
That's
and he
crazy.
Stroked the check, man, like nothing. So just you never know who you're cutting, man. Yeah. And I said that to say all those guys, no names.
Wow.
As far as if I mentioned their name, nobody would know them.
Right.
But the guy that I was just talking about, the guy everyone knows, he might leave a $3 tip.
Ain't that how it is, bro? Ain't that how it is?
That's how it is, bro.
It's really crazy. It's
every now and then he might shoot a little something, but hey, a lot of rich people stay rich because they don't spend their money.
That's the truth. That's the truth right there, man. Man, it is just surreal, dude. And that's why it's so important. You just treat everybody with dignity and respect, because it isn't because you want to get something out of them. It's the right thing to do, for one, and for two, you just never really know who you're dealing with. That country song where he's like that. You see that man in that rocking chair who buy your fancy car with $100 bills. Like, you just never know, bro.
Yeah, I never seen that whole thing, but I do like country music, but I don't think I know that one.
Oh yeah, no, it's Where I Come From. It's the name of the song. It's Where I Come From. Oh, you gotta check that out.
From,
yeah, so I think it's Jason L. or something.
Yeah.
I better not sing it because I know the copyright folks at YouTube. They'd be like, "Oh, he sung a song. That's copyright. That's a strike."
Yeah.
Well, Shannon, I had so much fun tonight, bro. I literally, I feel like we didn't even cover. Like, I feel like I didn't even scratch the surface with you now. Like, I mean, you really are a wealth of knowledge, bro, and I can't thank you enough for coming on here and spending some time. And all these people in the comments, man, they love you, bro. They're all saying it's been a blessing.
I love you guys.
Staying humble, staying outstanding. That's so great. This is crazy. Scraft, that dude. I'm gonna come through his shop. I want to come through your shop. They're loving you, bro, and I really appreciate you coming on, man. And I'm gonna wrap this up, but I guess we're gonna have to do a part 2. And we're gonna do a part 2, and maybe we'll make sure that we focus on them mods a little bit more. And there is one thing I wanted to ask you about the battery on the Tomb 45. It's just a curiosity. I was just curious, like, how many cuts are you usually able to do before it dies with the new battery in there?
All day.
Oh, really? It's like another one of the kind of
like literally, like I told you, I've been leaving around 9 o'clock, so from 9 or 10 in the morning till 9 at night, and dude, I'll cut all day and stick them on the charger at the end of the day. The power, you can even hear when you click them on, you can just hear there's more power, and they last. I mean, it seems like twice as long. I mean, I don't even know how long. Like I said, there's some that I would cut.
Oh, I'm getting
3
one.
or 4 heads, and it was done.
Shoot, you know what? I might have to get. I'm gonna go buy 2. I'm gonna buy one for this Magic Clip, and I'm gonna buy one for my 1919. Because
so I put one in my wall senior, and whenever I seen how much of an increase of battery life and power that I had, I hit up Basio instantly and like, hey, I need batteries, bro. I'll buy batteries. I don't care how I can get them, but I need more. And he was like, unfortunately, right now we're waiting for a shipment to come in. Well, then one came in the other day, so we restocked. And I was like, hey, give me one. And then at that point, because everybody in our shop felt the power and the difference, everybody in the shop was like, hey, I want one, or I want 2, I want 3.
Who wouldn't, bro? Yeah, I mean, it makes a
dude.
It's a serious problem. which is part of the reason why I started liking some of these newer clippers too. Is like I love the fact that the caliber lasted for so long. I like
Yeah.
the Gamma Ergo lasting for so long, and I put a wedge blade on the Ergo just because I had a wedge blade sitting around
Yeah.
just to see. And it's actually cutting pretty damn good with that blade on there, even though it ain't
See,
really.
I've never even seen the ergos. I need to check that
I
out.
meant to bring them, which is why it's good that we'll revisit this because I
Yeah.
plan on experimenting with the regular standard blade and the blade that they got. I got some things to say about that. And one thing I did notice with the 50 cal, and not so much the Ergo. The Ergo came good for me, but the 50 cal, the ones that I had that gave me some trouble, was the bracket actually wasn't the tolerance was off just a little bit, and it actually wasn't as tight to the body as it should have been. And what I did was I took it off and I actually bent the entire bracket slightly, and that did help. It didn't make it perfect, but it did improve it a little bit to where it was usable opposed to when it was pulling. Like I had a couple issues with the new 50 cal Magnum when they sent me, and then they sent me one that worked well. But the first couple were prototypes too, so I'm not even like, I'm not bashing nobody or anything like that. Like this is how we learn. This is how we figure these things out.
Absolutely.
I might have been a little bit like, I think in the beginning I was probably a little bit too harsh on a lot of these companies, and I am starting to understand things a little bit better, and I feel like I may have made some rash judgments when I was like, this is ratchet, man. I can't believe I spent this money, and I'd be all mad or whatever, but I've always just tried to tell people the truth, like, about how I feel about things. Like, even though I do have money coming in from sponsors and stuff like that, but, like, I've tried to tell you guys the truth about things. Like, if it ain't right, I'm not going to come out here and tell you it's great. And, I don't want you to get it and feel any kind of way about it,
Yeah. Yeah.
But, man, I can't tell you, dude, I've had a blast, dude, and we'll wrap up the show. And I'll let you go, and I can't thank you enough for coming on here. And you guys can be on the lookout for part 2. We'll try to put this together. We got a little bit more time again. We'll put it together, and we're gonna dive deep into mods, man. I think it'll be good because we'll have a little bit more time to experiment. Like let's have an experiment. Like you come up with the best Cyclops of
Yeah.
Cyclops.
I was just thinking I might have to come up with a Frankenstein design,
Right.
man, just
Like,
for the next one so we can talk about it. But hey, man, once again, bro, I just want to tell you, I honor you. I appreciate all that you do. Thank you for having me on. It's definitely a blessing, and I mean, I count it as a honor and a privilege to, be on your platform, man. So thank you for sharing it with me.
Thanks, bro. I feel the same way, man, and it means a lot coming from a barber like you with everything that you guys got going on, man. It's awesome to have had you. So thank you so much, my friend. Peace out, and I'll catch you in the next one. All right, you guys. That was my man Shannon there, and man, that was really cool. I had a blast with this one. I learned a lot, and I'm definitely probably gonna go cop me one of them 245 batteries, and I'll be dropping in that. I'm probably gonna order one as soon as we close this out. On the way out, you guys, YouTube hates me, so if you could just click that thumbs up on the way out if you enjoyed the show, if you feel you learned something. I feel I definitely learned a lot, man. He's just a wealth of knowledge, and really enjoyed that. So this is the YouTube Barber Academy. I am Mr. Eddie Barber, and I promise you guys in the next video I'll be doing some critiques. And I reached out to Marvy Marv for potentially being a guest next week. And I want to get back into the phases of the fade. And we're going to go through all 6 phases in depth, in order. And I'm going to do it even better than I did it the first time, so that we can really just hammer that home. So once again, this is the YouTube Barber Academy. I'm Mr. Eddie Barber. And I thank you for spending some time with me tonight and hanging out. And I really appreciate it, man. So until the next week, I'll catch you guys. Peace.